Welcome back to another episode of the Limitless Business Owners Podcast. It's episode 5 with your boys, Dan and Andrew. Okay, I want to remind you why we started this podcast. If this is your first time listening, okay, our goal is to bring everyday business owners content that they can relate to and give them ideas that they can start implementing right now into their business. Today's a special one because we have a special guest, someone that means a lot in our lives, and really the reason why Dan and myself met. And Anthony, welcome to the show. So awesome having you on here. It's a privilege.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hey guys, I'm excited. It's exciting to be early in this process with you guys, and excited to see how you've grown in, both of you in probably the last 6 months since we've worked together. So it's fun. I promise you it's more fun for me and more exciting probably for me than it is for maybe even you guys. So it's an honor to be on here and to be asked to be on, and just to see your guys' trajectory recently. So pretty cool. So I appreciate it.
Well, you've been a huge part of that. I know, Dan, and are extremely grateful for you starting. Kind of our topic today is confidence, but you started the Confident group, a little while ago. I know I hopped in later. Dan's been in there for quite a bit.
Yeah.
But really, we wouldn't be here today without Anthony Hudson and what he does for other people. He's truly a master at helping those around him build their confidence, which is why I joined his group, and really keep their confidence, right? It's not just building confidence, keeping, sharpening your sword nonstop. Anthony's a coach in several super high level groups. It really is a true game changer in other people's lives.
Yeah. A lot of people use him for a role model, even outside of his, close inner circle. Like I see Apex people following you and Lions Not Sheep following you. So you got a huge following and just a role model in that place.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's not for, sometimes these things happen by accident, but it's not for lack of effort as well, right? There's a method to the madness, although some people don't always realize it. And that's what a part of what we're going to talk about today is where confidence comes from, right? So I promise everything is intentional, even though it may not always seem like it. So, that's cool about this. So I'm honored that you guys are here, but there's a reason you guys are here. You guys are my ideal clients, right? Which is awesome. And I'm excited to just give back. So that's the cool part.
That's one thing I've really learned from Anthony is just giving back. Really, you've helped change my perspective, my mindset in, what we can do for other people because of what you do for you model that, nonstop. We have our group calls and Confident. And it truly is a group that is about the members of the group. Right. And I think that's an amazing trait. So Anthony, tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, wherever you want to start, wherever you want to end.
Yeah.
This is your time.
No, I appreciate it. I won't go too long because I don't want it to bore you guys, but yeah, it's been quite the journey. It's been a journey. So I grew up, so I live in Omaha, Nebraska now, but I'm a small town farm kid growing up. And, growing up in high school, I was probably shy, but played sports, had the same girlfriend all through high school. And then college is where I probably kind of blossomed. I started to figure out that, hey, confidence is important. Played college football, and that was kind of a cool thing. And I thought that I kind of had it all figured out. Like I went from being the shy kid that didn't know much about girls to hey, I want to go have some fun and meet some new people and just get out there and do something different. So I moved from a small town of 500 people. I had 21 in my graduating high school class, believe it or not, 4 girls. I don't know if you guys know this or if I've ever told you this. So I played 8-man football in high school. Come full circle, I went and played college football in it's Division II. I wasn't a Division I athlete. Division II in
really high level. It really is.
It can be. And maybe had I thought about it, I could have gone Division I, but Division II is where I wanted to be. I felt like that was the best spot for me at the time. And started to realize hey, there's a lot of cool things I could do. I'm selling myself short. I'm not living up to my fullest potential. So college went well, moved to Omaha outside of college. And I thought I started getting a little more confident. I would call it even cocky to a point, right? So I started to think that I had the world kind of by the balls and that I didn't need to study or improve myself. So in my early 20s and even going all the way up to my 30s, I'm like, I got this thing figured out. Whatever the world throws at me, I can just punch back. And a lot of it was just me being naive and thinking that, hey, this is, I'm pretty cool. Right. And looking back on it, it's it was a good lesson learned, because the world kicked me and held me down for quite a while. Like, I got stuck in victim mindset. I was jealous of a lot of my friends that were making more money than me, or I saw other things. Like, I was comparing myself to everybody when all I needed to do was focus on myself, but I lost complete sight of that. And that's easy to happen, right? That doesn't, for whatever reason, it's, imposter syndrome and outside distractions and things can really, if we're not careful, can really come in and tear us apart from our passion and our purpose and what we do. So into my, got married and into early 30s, I started to realize, like, hey, the world is trying to tell me something. We're doing okay, but we're living paycheck to paycheck. Like, I wasn't happy in my job. I was out of shape. I let myself slide in fitness. My mindset sucked. I had the victim mentality. Like, all the things that I coach on now, all things that I went throughout my years into my 20s and early 30s. So what I ended up doing is starting my mid 20s, I just started coasting. Like, I thought, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to read books. I don't need to network anymore. Like, this is fine. Like, I just kind of lost sight of really who I was and what I wanted to do. And then it was probably 8 or 10 years ago, we started wanting to have kids, right? My wife and I wanted to have kids. And I came to realize, like, hey, I can't be a good father. I'm not going to have energy. I'm not being a good provider and protector. Like, we're barely scraping by, living paycheck to paycheck. We got into some debt. And it was just a bad look. And I realized, okay, I need to become an entrepreneur, because I'm tired of the salary. Like, insurance is great, having a pension and all those kind of things, that used to be the way. And I had some of that working in a banking job, but I got into franchising and found a franchise concept that allowed me to become an entrepreneur. And then things kind of started to take off from there. I started to realize, hey, I need to set up a routine. Like, I thought it was cool to, like, be the guy that, hey, whatever the world throws at me, like, it's cool. I don't need, routines are boring, right? That's an argument my wife and I had numerous times. Like, you just need to have a routine. You're all over the place. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, nah, routines are boring. That means I'm doing the same stuff all the time. Like, it's not exciting. Like, I want a new day to be, brand new and have all these, whatever happens, and I can roll with it. Right. And that was me being, again, cocky and not realizing that that's the absolute opposite way to think about going about life. So when I realized that, so when we started our first business, and then we had our first daughter, and things I was starting to figure things out a little bit more, and things were going better because I started to build routines and healthy habits. But then I found out my wife was pregnant with twins. We were starting our second business, and I had just switched from a high salary job to a mostly commission-based job. I really realized, like, all right, I need to dial in my mornings. I need to have a healthy habits and an exact routine that I can follow every single day, because that's where confidence comes from. And I know we'll get into that. So that's really where that started. And then come full circle outside of when the pandemic hit, I was a fitness coach. I owned gyms. Those were the businesses I was in. And I was a fitness coach for a long time. But it was when the pandemic hit that I realized, like, hey, okay, people are now working from home. They're teaching their kids from home. They're homeschooling. Like, they have to, husbands and wives are working together in the same space, and that's difficult. And hey, my wife might like me at 5 o'clock when I get home from work, but she might not like the 2 o'clock on Tuesday version of Anthony, right? So that's part of it too. It's like, okay, how do I know, or how can we figure this out? So, and it's all around mindset, and really learning how to function at home and not being able to go to the gym or go buy groceries or go out to eat or all the things. Like, we were stuck in our bubble, right? So I realized then that I'm more than a fitness coach. I got this routine stuff kind of figured out. So that's kind of really where Confident was born. So I say that, come full circle, confidence comes from, initially, I know you'll probably ask, but the whole Confident thing came from like all the stuff that I messed up and screwed up and thought that I had the world figured out, to then hitting rock bottom, being close to $100,000 in debt because of, from my own personal perspective, and I haven't shared this a lot either, but we got in, we had to do fertility, right? So as a man, you want to have kids. Yeah. That's, you're put on this earth to, to have kids. But when you find out that, like, hey, that's not as easy as people think. And also, like, hey, that's part of being a man is reproducing and giving back and those kind of things. So when you find out that, hey, maybe that's not as easy as we thought, we've got to do some extra stuff, you're like, that kicks you when you're down hard too. That kind of pulls from your masculinity a little bit. So that was a there was a dark space for a while for me that I had to work my way out of. So it's not for lack of experience and dealing with stuff. It's not been all sunshine and rainbows for me. Despite what some people might see or think now, based on content and social media and some things like that. So that's how it kind of came full circle. So I'll pause there. As a lot, I know, and it was a little bit all over the place, but hopefully, at least from that standpoint, you guys have a little bit of an understanding, and maybe the audience will as well. So
yeah, well, I mean, it really seems like you were on the high, like the far end of, which isn't true confidence, right? Being cocky. In college, you went through, the ups and downs of life throws your way. In marriage, some of the things, the problems that you're having, that can really shatter your confidence. And then you've built it all back. You've been through the thing. So, and I think that's what makes you a great coach too. I think that you're able to have that perspective of when someone's going through the hard time. It's like, I've been there and we can get through it together, and I think that's what makes you really, really special. I didn't know about some of that. That's fun. Funny. And I can relate to some of it too. I played baseball.
Yeah.
And, I had it all shatter. It's like I played NAIA, and I was always pretty good, and then I got hurt, and it's like what I knew, what was my normal was gone, and I had to reshape. And that was, in I was 20 years old, so through the 20s, you're trying to figure out who the hell you are. It's like, who am I? You're really trying to shape your values and your principles, you're learning. I had 2 failed businesses until my third one. So, and then that's kind of when I hopped into Confident. And since then it's been absolutely amazing because I've able to implement some of the things. I'm not perfect at it by any means, but being in the group has really, I know, helped me. It's like that reminder. It's like, hey, you can do better. You can do more. And I think that's really, really important to have. If you don't have that in your life, you need that in your life. You just need other people that are going where you want to go, that can teach you what you need to know. Anthony, you're surrounded by, obviously you're involved in Apex. I know you're in a couple of other groups. You are obviously well connected, and you're around some elite business owners. And obviously that's our audience is business owners, from the beginning, like they might be starting out, to, some people that might be in it 20 years and they've plateaued, you've been around some elite business owners every single day. And when you're analyzing how they're able to do what they're able to do and perform at a high level and grow nonstop, how much does confidence play a role inside of that journey?
There's a reason my program's called Confident. It's probably one of the number one things, right? And it took me a while to realize what it was that that kind of set the tone for me. It wasn't necessarily, it was, I didn't think it was so much confidence. That's what it was, but it took me a while to get to that point, right? So I think the most successful businessmen and women are the ones that have extreme confidence and that live the lifestyle of it, right? So it goes back to, we talk about this a lot, and I used to be a fitness coach, but if I see somebody that's confident, you could tell they work out. They're disciplined enough to watch what they eat, to make good choices, to show up at the gym on a pretty consistent basis. You can tell somebody that's in shape physically, usually by the way they look, and not to be, only focus on looks and body type and physique and all those things, but that means something. That means,
Absolutely.
you walk in a room and you see the people that are in shape, they mean business, they take life seriously. Like it's part of longevity. It's part of mindset. It's part of confidence. It's all those things wrapped up into one. So I think, we talk about this a lot in our coaching group, but I think fitness is the foundation of success. And with fitness comes confidence. And it's not always about how you look. A lot of it's about how you feel and the energy you project. Like I want to leave everybody with more energy when I talk to them than before they talk to me and had a conversation. So I want you guys to be energized. I want whoever I talk to, like, to come away from that conversation feeling like, all right, I feel better now. I'm ready to go. Like this is, it's not a motivation thing. It's just like, I want to pour into people with that. Right. So the confidence piece is huge because so many things, so many distractions. We procrastinate all the media, all the filters and all these crazy things that, show us what we don't have, but when we are grateful and realize what we do have, that's a confidence boost as well, right? So I think more than anything, like and every single day, confidence, it's not ever existing. There's imposter syndrome and things that come up that I deal with confidence issues every single day. Even though I coach on it, doesn't mean I don't deal with it. It doesn't mean that's something that, that shakes my confidence every single day. So realizing that too, and knowing who you are real quick, who you are, that's huge as well. You have to know who you are and what you're about, and that helps give you more confidence also. So anyways.
And
a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Dan.
Oh yeah, sorry. I wanted to kind of touch on the people that are probably faking it. The people that are that come off as alphas, or they come off as like super loud, and when you get under the surface, they're like incredibly insecure.
Yeah.
Like, how does someone maybe either, first of all, realize that they're doing those things, and then second of all, how do they deal with those people? Because they might have them on their team, they might have them as clients.
So let's start here. Let's unpack it a little bit. So I would say the first thing is how do you know if somebody's true, or how do you become confident? What does that look like? So two things I like to say. One, you need clarity, right? Clarity and consistency. So clarity means, what do you want? Like, what is it that you actually want to get? Who are you? Like, who am I? What do I want? Who do I need to become to get there? We talk about that a lot. So where am I at now? Where do I want to go? Like, where is it on the map? What is my goal? How do I get there? And then breaking that down into small chunks, right? So that's the consistent, and then doing it every single day and working towards those goals every single day. Even if it's just small, it's stacking wins, small percentages, little wins add up to big results, right? And then, so clarity, got to know what you want, and then that consistency piece, and that's where confidence comes from. So clarity consistently equals confidence. So that's how you get to that point. It's the people that are loud and obnoxious. Like, how do you, it's who's doing the work. It's in the results. That's how you know, right? It's not what they're saying they're doing. It's not what they're showing you on social media that they're doing and taking a picture of something that's not theirs, a car, a private jet, or whatever. We see it all, right? So it's if they're doing the work, if the results are behind and they're putting forth action versus, so show them and not tell them is what I like to say, especially, that's to you guys, my clients, but my kids, my wife. Like, I can tell her all day that, honey, I'm gonna fix the fence in the backyard, but until it's actually done, she doesn't give a damn, right? So that's just one example, right? So you got to show before you tell, right? And I would much rather have that, and that's where confidence comes from. So that's how you know who's not doing it. And then what was the other part of it, Dan? Sorry, how do you deal with those?
Dealing with them, if they're on your team, if you're hiring someone like that.
Yeah, it goes back to core values, like asking the right questions. It goes back to it's hard because it depends on the person, of course, but it's knowing that, hey, maybe it's in some cases if you've tried and tried, they may just not be a good fit. It's not being afraid to let that person go. I mean, in some cases, and in some cases it's just, hey, leveling with them. Look, hey, why are you doing this? Is this what does this serve? Like, why don't we just try to actually put in some effort and work and not talk about it so much and just put things into action. What are you scared of? Sometimes it's just trying to figure out why they're doing what they're doing, right? What's
good,
they're afraid, they're scared. That's why people act this way. It's not because they think they're better than anybody else. It's because maybe they're a fraud, or they don't want to get found out, or they've been living a lie for so long. It's a lot of times the stories they tell themselves, right? So it's just learning, finding their perspective on things and where they're coming from and leveling with them a little bit, I guess, is how I would approach it best.
Yeah. And it seems like it's a lot like what we do in the dark, like what people don't see. It's like,
there you go.
So there you
go.
We, obviously it's easy to sometimes fake outward results, right? It really is, especially social media. You see everyone end like where they're at. But you don't see the daily things, the daily actions, like people, Anthony's ripped, like Anthony's got some huge biceps, but they don't see that. We get to see it luckily, but it's like, they don't see that you're working out every single morning. Hard, not like, guys, I'm not talking like easy workouts. Like Anthony does hard workouts. So you're like, man,
like 700 calories every time.
Yeah. So he's doing it, but and I guess what I'm getting at is it's an inward thing. Like confidence seems like it's a very inward thing. It's a UVU type thing, not me versus the world and what can I portray to the world. It's like, hey, how am I living? And I know this is one thing I got from the group. How am I living? And I'm analyzing every single detail of that. It's like the small things. It's not always the big things. And that's like I said, I've gotten that directly from Anthony. It's the small things. It's the details. It's the monotonous things.
It's the small things, the details. It's the not fun things. It's the stuff that, unfortunately it's not always exciting. It's sometimes, and that's where the routines come from, right? Or that's why routines are so important, because you're not always going to be motivated. You're not always motivated to get up at 4:55 and go to the gym and not see your kids in the morning. I don't see my girls in the morning anymore because, I get to see them at night, right? But that's what I've chosen as far as my routine goes. So I get up and go to the gym, shower, and go to the office. And maybe to some people, like, I don't want to do that. That's a sacrifice. But I'm showing up better for them when I get home. Work is done, right? I'm not doing work anymore. My phone's down. So it's not amount of time, it's quality of time too, right? So, and I'm speaking specifically to my kids and my family. Everybody's different, but that's part of it. And then I think the other thing I wanted to hit on too was like, you talked about internal, right? Mm-hmm. Happiness comes from you and here. It doesn't come from outside sources. So, and that was a conversation. I told you guys this in one of our coaching calls. Like, I had to have that with my wife. She's like, you're focused on me making you happy, or the girls making you happy, or these outside things. Happiness does not come from anywhere but from right here, and who you are and what you want and what it is that your purpose and passion are, right? And sometimes you have to refigure that out, and sometimes those things can change, but knowing that and thinking through it and focusing and meditating, like some of the things we do, that helps with all that stuff, right? So I think the internal happiness is an internal thing, and you get to choose it, right? You choose what makes you happy because of what you're grateful for. So anyways, that was a lot, but there. I wanted to touch on that after you said that.
It's like, I wish we could have like 3 hours and just dive, because it's like, this is, no. I mean, it is so important. It is so important for people to grasp what you just said. And I know there's a lot packed in there, but it's really, really important that, I mean, if you're listening, you go back and re-listen to that, because that's the keys right there to building confidence. Anthony, obviously we're talking a lot about routine. And I think people are hearing some of the building blocks of building confidence. Yeah. But if you had to give a list, if you had to say, hey, these are the building blocks of confidence, what would you say those things are?
I know we talked about routine. So it's establishing, well, first of all, first you need to figure out what you want, right? So, and what an ideal day looks like for you. Right. So we know on a daily basis, we're all pretty routine, even if we don't realize it. But what it is that we want our perfect day to look like. So we go through a process with that in our coaching group. Like, okay, what does that look like? So you've got to have, to build confidence in the building blocks of confidence, you have to have something, I think daily in your morning routine, something that warms you up. So working out in the morning, we talk about sweating before the sun, something that cools you down, right? So talk about like things like cold showers. I'm not saying you have to do ice baths or anything not so crazy, but that's good for your body. It gives you clarity, so on and so forth. Something that feeds your mind, right? So reading, listening to podcasts, positive, self-development type stuff, and something that feeds your soul, right? So that's giving, gratitude, giving things. Like I think those are 4 key components to a morning routine. And if you win early in the day, and if you get a sweat in and do some of those things and really get wins early, before anybody else is up, that's why I'm an advocate of waking up early. I think you've got an advantage over the rest of the world, probably 98% of the rest of the world by doing that. And you've already gotten wins, so your confidence is sky high. You're going to take that into conversations. You're going to take that into everything else the rest of your day. Starting your day with a win is only going to propel you momentum wise. And even if something bad comes at you, at the end of the day, okay, I had this win, and maybe I had a lesson learned. I don't like to call it a loss. I call it a lesson learned. But I know that, so I tracked my wins. I tracked my lessons. And, at the end of the day, I can count that day as a W because I overall did what I said I was going to do. So there's a lot there. So that's the routine pieces first, planning out your days. Like that's again, something we do in Confident, but planning out your weeks and then planning out your days, right? So that your critical tasks are your main things that you need to do. And we focus on faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. Those 5 areas, one thing in every single day, one thing in those categories. So planning that and holding yourself accountable to it, because that's where confidence comes from, keeping the promises you make to yourself. Absolutely. Right? So, and then the last piece is at the end of the day, what are you grateful for? What happened today that you can learn from? Again, tracking those wins and setting up the next day, right? So so it's a morning routine. It's thinking back to and implementing the things that you planned, and then it's circling back to that and then planning the next day. So it's all, there's a lot there, but those are just some of the building blocks that we focus on. And I think there's more to it, but that's a good starting point.
And and it's not hard. It's not hard stuff. Like reading for 10, 15, it's not hard. And, it's like we can create this monumental, I got to spend 9 hours today on myself. It's like, no, just start with the small things. You can everything Anthony just said could probably be done in 2 hours, 3 hours or less in one day. I want to go back to kind of the example you used with your girls, because I think this is sometimes in the short term, it's easy to look at, hey, I might be losing time with them. But in the long term, you're creating a couple things. You're creating a healthy you, which hopefully leads to longevity, where you're going to be part of their lives for longer, right? In their kids' lives. Right. And then you're also helping them immensely because you're modeling and being an example of what a healthy human being should be. So it's like a lot of people will look at that, oh, but I'm losing the hour with them. But it's like, no. They're gaining 10 times that by me doing this for myself. And I think it's really important that we change our perspective and how we think about some of these things that might seem like they're taking more time up when they're really benefiting in other ways.
Yeah. And one of the examples I like to say to that point is, my girls aren't taking a stopwatch and saying, hey, Dad, you spent 35 minutes with Penelope, but you only spent 30 minutes with me. Or Sawyer, hey, Dad, you spent 60 minutes with me. I only got 15 minutes with you. That's not how it works. As long as they're having fun and you're completely dialed in and exactly with them and intentional about it. I see so many other parents come home from work and they're browsing on their phone, doing their thing while they're trying to pretend to play a game or watching a show with them when they're on their, that's not quality time. It's about quality over quantity. And I, the longevity piece, one of the things I always say is fit grandpa goals, right? I want to be the grandpa that's running routes in the backyard for my grandson who's throwing me passes, right? That's part of it. So modeling that and showing them what healthy and what consistency looks like, that's huge, right? And we often, a lot of people, what's the old adage? Those who can't do coach, or can't do teach, those kind of things. No, you have to be able to do both. I never expect my kids or you guys or anybody I work with to do something that I haven't already done or I'm not currently doing, right? So the modeling thing is absolutely monumental. Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people build their lives around their children, which is great until they're 18, right?
Right.
And then they leave, and then first of all, there's nothing, and then there's the children have the wrong images of what they should be doing as a family. Like, oh, they shouldn't be having friends, they shouldn't be having night out, they shouldn't be committing to themselves and getting in shape, those kind of things. So yeah, you're right. Just wanted to.
Parents go into depression after their kids leave, like empty nesters, like divorces happen, like all this crazy stuff. Yep. Like they don't know what to do with themselves. They're bored. Like, yeah, crazy. You're exactly right. So,
yep,
it's a good point.
Yeah, I've seen it on my parents' side. I mean, 5 kids, and they had kids in their house for 32 years, 33 years. And so, my brother just went to college. The last one just went to college. And so, yeah, now they're relearning. They're getting their hobbies back. They're getting their routines back. But it's taken a while.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the easiest thing.
Well, and something too, and I know this is, you guys are focused on a business podcast, so I want to make sure we're making it relevant to your audience and make sure that
people still deal with life, though.
It is life, and that's it. So there's no perfect balance, right? So 5 categories: faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. Finance is business, right? That being said, like you've got to show up in all other areas. Like if you've only focused on the business and then you go home and your kids hate you, your wife hates you, or you're like, or you have no energy because you've gone out to eat, you didn't pack your bag, so you didn't go to the gym, like you didn't set time aside for yourself, like your business is going to suffer anyways, right? Or maybe you're doing good in business, but you don't have anybody to share it with because your kids and your wife hate you, or you don't have the energy to spend with them anyways, right? So it's gotta be, there's gotta be more to it than business. And the fitness piece, your relation, like if your relationship with your significant other sucks, you don't think that's going to affect your business? Like, absolutely it is. You're getting a text from Mama Bear saying, hey, you need to do this, this, and this, or you forgot to do this. And you're like, oh my God. But then that affects, what's going on in business and everything else, right? So you gotta handle yourself first, and you gotta be a little bit selfish, right? In order to be selfless. That's the key, right? So people think, oh, you're working out and you're spending time away from your kids. Well, that's because I'm showing up better for them as the best version of myself versus, crap bag that, is not paying attention to the kids and falls asleep on the chair after dinner and is not playing with the kids before bedtime, right? Or whatever. So anyways, I want to make sure, for business purposes that some of this stuff's relevant too, because it's, I know that's what your audience is focused on.
Yeah. And it's like, before you can lead others, you have to lead yourself, and how you lead others is probably a direct reflection of how you lead yourself, so it's like lead yourself right first. And then that's going to allow you to lead others better, So it's like, okay, it's kind of like an indirect way of serving others to your fullest capacity, So make sure, and I think we touched on one podcast, like you have to take care of yourself. I feel like, and I get into it, it's like you focus so much on business, but it's like, wait, what if the other categories are holding me back? Very possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to think I could just work through confident. Like I could the more work I put in, the more successful the business would be. And sometimes there has to be gaps. And in those gaps, family, fun, faith, all have to fit in there. Because there's so many times I've got lost and I'm like, I'll just put in 14-hour days. I'll just put in 16-hour days. And it just gets worse and worse. So like monitoring that, being a little bit selfish and getting those routines are so crucial. It was for me. I mean, it was a huge turnaround.
Yeah, I remember when I took that commission-based job I was telling you guys about earlier, and I thought just working more, skip lunch, work through lunch, like work after the kids go to bed. Nope, it got me. I dug further down in the hole versus building my because I didn't have there's no perfect balance with those things, but I didn't have any balance. It was all work. That's all it was, right? So great point.
I'm going to change our gears a little bit. We've been talking a lot about building confidence, right? Like,
Sure.
But there's also someone that might already be kind of in a good spot, confident spot, how do you go to the next level? If you feel like you're at a good spot, how do you go to the next level or maintain? Is it just continuing to do the stuff that you've always done? Is there something else to maintain that confidence? Because there's always gonna be things that come and try to derail,
Sure. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's hard because you build your routines, momentum, and routines are stuff that become habits, right? So that means it kind of happens on automatic pilot, right? So, but you still have to be intentional, right? You can't just rely on, okay, this is automatic. So, oh, yep, my body's telling me to go this way. I'm driving to the gym on automatic pilot, kind of a thing. You have to still get out of your comfort zone, and confidence comes from trying new things as well. Like people think, oh, if I try new stuff, like, oh, that's scary. I've never done that before, but in reality, I think it actually builds your confidence because you're like, hey, I'm capable of more than I realized, right? Or I can actually do some of this stuff too. I'm not, we get so caught up in labeling ourselves as, hey, I'm a morning person, or I'm a night owl, or just whatever it is. Hey, I'm a good speaker, but I'm not a good coach, or whatever that looks like. So trying new things, adding to your repertoire, reading more, those kind of things, like gaining more knowledge. I want to be a lifetime student. That's part of my I am statement. I want to do new things, try new things, visit new places, change my environment. All those kind of things are great ways to continue to grow and improve just a little bit every single day. So I guess if somebody that's like, hey, I'm feeling pretty good, but I'm ready to up it a little bit, I think trying new things, whether that's doing, I don't know, weird examples, but this is stuff I'm working on. Like I still need to go join a jujitsu, like something like that physically. I need to, I want to get on more stages and speak. So I want to do like either an improv class or some kind of like they do some different TED Talk training things, those kind of things, like anything to sharpen your sword and to get out your comfort zone a little. You don't have to jump completely out of the deep end on the comfort zone thing, but just small stuff, right? Doing interviews on podcasts. I never used to, this was nerve-wracking as heck for me when I first started, but that's trying something new. I think that'll actually help increase your confidence and keep that confident lifestyle. Keep it going.
Two things out of that. Yeah.
Gotta change the
challenge. That's good. And then, I think like Anthony said, the intentionality, it's easy to get on. Even though you built a great routine and great habits, you just kind of going through the motions in it. The intentionality is so important. But man, I think the trying, and I've never really trying something new. It's almost like you're conquering something, and proving to yourself over and over again. And that's hard to do if you just stay where you're at, and you can be at a good level. You can be like, I'm working out every morning, I'm reading,
sure.
But trying something new. I'm learning stuff just here as well. So this is amazing.
Good. I'm glad.
I got all my notepads. I got a full page of notes already.
That happens anytime you're around Anthony, by the way. Right?
Oh, I don't know about that. I appreciate it.
So a couple things for beginner business owners, someone that's in startup. Yeah. What is some advice you would have for them from a confidence standpoint, right? So maybe someone that I don't have a client yet. I'm trying to get my first client, or maybe, hey, I'm dabbling in different niches and I don't know who my client is. Obviously, confidence can really affect you in the beginning. What's some advice you have for some beginners?
Yeah, it's hard because nobody wants to do this, and but we overthink, right? Beginners overthink constantly. So it's fail fast, fail often, fail forward, right? So those, you got to try some stuff. You got to test some stuff. You don't know, just because somebody else did it this way and they think that was the best for them, that may not be the best for you and your clients. Everybody's different. We're all unique individuals, right? So it doesn't, but you've got to get out of your own way and just start, right? If I wouldn't have got on my own way and overthought confident 2 years ago, we might not be on this conversation, right? We wouldn't be on this conversation right now. You know what I mean? So you've got to not be afraid to, I don't like fail, but learn some lessons. Like, I just don't like that word, even though I said it. There's no failure. There's no true failure. You just learn some stuff. So not be afraid to just get started. There's no perfect map. There's no perfect business. There's no perfect funnel. There's no perfect copy. None of that stuff. There's no perfect, there's no perfect organization structure. It's just not. Like things have to evolve and grow and get better. And as soon as you realize that, I think, what is it? Ready, fire, aim, right? I mean, you gotta just go. You gotta just go and learn along the way. Fall in love with the journey. That's the other part, right? You can't always be looking at the finish line. Just fall in love with the journey and the process. So,
yeah, I think one really important thing is like, if you wouldn't have started Confident, obviously Andrew and I wouldn't have started Limitless. Like those people out there that are kind of kicking it around, got to think who else is relying on them that they haven't helped yet because they haven't started.
That's right.
And
yeah, that's a great point. And we forget about that. Go ahead.
There's some people that
all the time
are only put in our path, right? Like they're not going to cross anyone else's path. It's our job. It's our obligation to go help because they're in our path, right? So if you're comparing yourself to competitors, whatever else, it's easy. Like, oh, that guy's been doing websites or that guy's been doing this for 10 years. No, this person's in your path. This person may never cross that person's path. So they need your help, right? So I think that's so important. Now I'm going to go the other direction. Some advice for business owners that have been in the game for a while, right? At any capacity.
Oh, yeah. I think part of it goes back to, and we kind of already said it, but like try some new stuff, right? And that's the thing. Like I see so many people in the franchising business. That's the other thing I do besides coach is I see people that are been doing the same stuff for 20 years. They've had their business and they're just kind of, I don't say burnt out with it, but they're looking for a change. They're looking for something different. So not be afraid to reinvent yourself a little bit and to not be afraid to, try some new things. It doesn't always have to be like, you got to evolve, right? If you're not growing, you're dying in business. So you can't get so stuck in your ways that you don't realize that maybe it's having new conversations and increasing your network. I think it's, we talked about it, getting around new groups of people that are doing some different things. I think that's the key for people that have maybe stuck or not stuck, but have been doing the same thing for a long time and need some new perspective, right? So it's getting around other networks, other people doing some different stuff and just learning. You don't have to do exactly what they're doing, but having some different options and ideas, I think that's huge. I learned so much from our conversations and you guys. Like I'm older than both of you combined almost. and I enjoy our conversations. You guys teach me so much just, on the technology side of things and on, some of the stuff that you guys are better at than I am, right? So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. I don't want it to be twisted for you guys in the audience to think that it's not, because I benefit from it greatly, and that's part of what Confident's about too. It helps me. It's accountability for me as well. It's not just about you guys, the clients. It's all of us, right? We're a team.
Love it.
So, anyways,
love it. I know we're running short on time here, so Anthony, you're. How do you grow your confidence and become unstoppable? I know we've touched on a lot. What are some 3 to 5 ways? Let's give people some lasting impact here.
Yeah, it goes back to, again, it's just keeping the promises you make to yourself. So whatever you got to figure out what you want. We kind of talked about it. You got to know, okay, what do I want for me so I can impact more people, right? So I want it for me selfishly, but I also know that I can help more people that way. So what do I want? And then what is my plan to get it, right? So having that set up, what do I want? And then having that plan of action and tracking it and holding yourself accountable to it. Confidence comes from keeping the promises you make to yourself. It's not the promises I make to Andrew. It's not the promises I make to Dan. It's promises I make to me. Nobody else knows. Like I can put it out into the world, but your confidence is going to waver if you constantly writing stuff down and not doing it. If you're constantly saying, oh, I'm going to do this someday, someday's today. Like we don't wait for someday, we go now, right? So fast action is another one, like doing it. If there's something that you can get done in 5 minutes, I'm a big advocate of getting it done right then and there, not waiting till the end of the day, not waiting till tomorrow. Like procrastination is a confidence killer, right? Doing it, knocking it out, moving on to the next thing. Checking the boxes. They don't have to be perfect, but getting the boxes checked on every single thing, that's huge. So knowing what you want, putting a plan of action together, following through with that, not procrastinating, not waiting. that's going to skyrocket your confidence. And then learning to do some new things as well, right? That'll help keep you in the confident mindset and lifestyle. So.
Typically, we leave our listeners with a question. We ask, hey, what is one thing you can tell our listeners and business owners? What can they do to become limitless, right? And it's probably going to be, there's so much in here. You start doing what Anthony says and you'll become limitless.
Yeah.
One thing. What's one thing?
That's a tough one. One thing. I used to think that but going back to my years in my 20s when I was cocky and thought that I had the world by the balls, like I think everybody should be a lifetime student, right? Whether that's going to seminars, self-development, reading, audiobooks, like you want to be limitless, you gotta be a sponge, right? You've got to increase your knowledge. You've got to learn new stuff every single day. Like you need to become a lifetime student. And I hated college, by the way. I didn't hate college. I did not. Yeah. I was not a good student in college. I was not. Chemistry my senior year, I barely snuck by. Like I needed some tutors for that stuff. Well, yeah. Anyways, so being a student and then pouring into others, right? I mean, that's just it. Like being grateful for what you have, being a student, and then helping other people without, that's one of my favorite quotes is help others without any expectation of getting anything in return. True Measure of a Man by Samuel Johnson, I think is his name. That's huge, right? That's one of my favorite quotes of all time. How you treat a man who can do you absolutely no good says a lot about a person. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, but anyways, so sponge it up. Make sure you're a lifetime student. I think that's the key for me.
Well, Anthony, I know you have to roll here, and I just want to thank you for taking your time, being on the show with us, literally giving people your brain, and this stuff right here. I mean. Like I said, I learned something. This is like foundational stuff, guys, that if you start taking action, implementing these things, you will see growth. Like you will see growth, and that'll parlay into your business too. And there's not just stuff for the beginners, but there's stuff for the people that might even be at the top. And that's what's so special about Anthony is he can help anyone in any path because he's been through it. So Anthony, thank you again.
Yep. I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you for having me on, and let's do it again. Like we can talk more business. I'm always excited. So it's a lot of fun. Awesome. Appreciate it, fellas.
Yeah. I'm for
Thanks,
it.
guys.
Okay. Let's do this.
Talk to you.
Love it.
All right. If you guys enjoyed listening to Anthony Hudson today, go ahead and give his podcast a follow and tune in every single Friday. He drops a new episode, and that is all about building your confidence. It's called Confident, the Code to Living a Life on Fire. And he goes even deeper in each of his podcasts. Also, if you have not rated, reviewed, and shared our show yet, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and drop a review in there. It really does help us out when people are searching for business stuff. But when you share it, that's when we get the full effect because you just never know who's going to see that on your Facebook or your Instagram or your Twitter or wherever else you want to share it. Make sure you tag us so they follow us as well. And the more you share, the more you're actually giving back to business owners because the things that we're talking about is going to help them overcome. It's going to help them level up. It's going to help them grow in their business. And one last thing, if you want to hop into the Limitless Business Owners Inner Circle, right now we have a free 7-day trial. There's a lot that happens inside of this group. It's kind of like your accountability, but also a learning place, right? We bring in people like Anthony to do special teachings. And also we have a full course section inside there that teaches you the mindsets that you need to adopt, that teaches you business structure, taxes, everything else to really help you thrive. We also go pretty deep into online marketing and advertising and the whole online world. That's where Dan and I's specialty. That's where we have really thrived in the last 5 to 6 years is learning the things like sales funnels, ads, and really growing your business online, which can really help even if you are a face-to-face business, how to use technology, really how to scale, okay? So that's really, really important. Obviously, you're inside of that group, you're going to meet other business owners. You're going to be able to have the opportunity to teach someone else, but we're also going to have people in there that's going to help you grow individually. So if you want a free 7-day trial, go ahead and click the link in the description, and we would love to see you on the inside. Thanks.